Ray, one rookie that I don't think people are – they might have thought back in April when Emeka Egbuka was drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like, all right, I might get like a Jackson Smith-Njigba, Roma Dunze rookie season where he's stuck behind some other veteran receivers and maybe it's next year. Well, now I don't think you're going to have to be patient for this guy. I think he's going to just hit the ground running immediately at the NFL level for a couple different reasons. One, I mentioned Jalen McMillan earlier. He is now placed on IR. There are reports that he might be out until the Buccaneers' Week 9 bye, which stinks because he was a really useful vertical receiver for them. We know Chris Godwin has not even started jogging on a separate field yet at training camp, which, again, sucks because Chris Godwin was having the best season of his career and was the second most productive receiver in the NFL outside of Jamar Chase in the first 7 weeks. This went from being a deep room to a room that, like, I was talking with my personal trainer this morning who's a Buccaneers fan, and he's like, man, it really went pretty quick from why did they draft that guy to thank God we drafted that guy, because, I mean, they're going to need him to hit the ground running. And Ray, I think, look, this is always tough, but I think he's got a pro-ready skill set. I really do. I mean, this is a guy who was number 2 in success rate versus zone coverage among all the prospects I charted last season, for this last draft class, behind only the great Travis Hunter, who we talked about earlier. And he actually would have led all the prospects in that great 2024 class in success rate versus zone coverage as well. I think he's a pro-ready guy who runs the type of routes Baker Mayfield wants to throw. Like, people are excited about Emeka Egbuka, but I think they need to get even more excited, Ray.
I mean, this is – you never, ever, ever – we don't ever wish injury upon any player. But amongst getting drafted and following up the heels of Chris Godwin getting paid – I think a lot of people were expecting a fine season from Egbuka this year, show some flashes, but you still got Godwin coming back. Mike Evans is there. McMillan played well down the stretch, and yes, the rookie's going to be on the field, but there are quite a few mouths to feed, not including Bucky Irving and Cade Otton. I mean, this escalated real fast because the injury to McMillan, a lot of people thought, oh, just a sprain, he'll be out, and then next thing you know, he's out for half the season. And 8, 9, 10 weeks for fantasy, you're out for the year. His skill set in this offense was already a good match and skill sets fit, but it might be out of necessity. And let's not act like Mike Evans has been this perfect model of consistent health over the past couple of years of his career outside of that 23 season. I'm not going to say it yet. Well, you know what? Damn it, Matt. I do believe that when you're looking at an offense with a quarterback, an environment to produce an elite outcome, it may be Puka Nacua-esque in Tampa Bay. Skill set plus necessity, offense, Baker's not going to dial back throwing the ball. I think we should have him projected for even more, a higher target share than 100. I mean, this could be all the stars converging at the right time for the right player in the right situation.
Well, that is 1,000% getting clipped. Put it on. What are the odds that we get that on a quote graphic? I mean, it's like minus 1,000. But I really do see the path here, Ray, because you mentioned Mike Evans. Look, I love Mike Evans. Like I said, I've been just working on Mike Evans recently for RP, and I'm like, it's crazy how this guy who came into the league as a freak of freaks, 6'5", 230 pounds, could run like the wind down the field. It was productive right away because he was a freak show vertical receiver. He's now become like a real craftsman at the position into his the second part of his prime, which has somehow continued to extend. That's how you get a guy doing just the high level of consistent production that he's had. But he turns 32 this year, man. And I'm watching him last year. There's zero signs of a little sign of decline there. No. He still looks as good as ever. But you just never know with 32-year-old receivers. And like you said, he's missed time. You can kind of set your watch to he's going to have a hamstring or something like that every year. So there are real outcomes where Emeka Egbuka, I thought you were going to say leads this team in receiving as a Bolton, but no, you went straight for Puka Nacua. So I love it, man.
But I mean that is part of it, right? If he's going to give you that. The stars have to align. And I'm not saying this is how we want it, but Chris Godwin's not jogging. He's not. Yeah. Even when he's back, I am not expecting Chris Godwin to be the same version of Chris Godwin we saw prior to his injury in that Baltimore game. I mean, those are unrealistic expectations to have in the first place. So this isn't a third-round receiver we're talking about. This isn't a guy that we're hoping for off the waiver wires to make the roster that sounds like a good story. This was a first-round talent who was selected in round 1 on a team that just paid money to Chris Godwin, that just got the type of season out of Jalen McMillan the year prior, and they still went out and drafted him for this very unfortunate but real situation. I don't think it's crazy that he goes out there and out of necessity and talent, he is right there with Big Mike. Mike Evans, I would project him to have more touchdowns because that's what he does. But when you're just talking about receptions, doing the dirty work, let your young horse do that. Involve him. You spent the first round pick on him for this reason. If it happened, now it's here. You look at all the names drafted ahead of him, there ain't a doubt in my mind I'm taking Emeka Egbuka over half of the guys drafted ahead of him right now.
Yeah, the consensus rankings we're showing here, just like straight up, he doesn't belong in this tier anymore. He needs to at least have a 3, like a 30 ranking at the wide receiver position. The first number needs to at least be a 3. So I've adjusted to that. I think I even need to move him up a little higher. Pearsall's the guy you and I are both in on. I bumped him up into my 30s at wide receiver. I think, or my tier 4 at wide receivers. Emeka Egbuka needs to be there as well, straight up, just with what's happened from an injury perspective. These other guys, while we're, talking maybe really high pie in the sky comparisons for Emeka Egbuka, I had this thought the other day, Ray, that, remember Justin Jefferson coming out. Yeah, I'm going to say, we're talking Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson for this rookie receiver. So we're definitely setting him up to fail for sure with these expectations. But remember, Justin Jefferson coming out, the critique on Jefferson, guy was not the first receiver drafted in that 2020 class. If people do not remember. He was a slot only guy. That's where he played. But I'm not going to say I called Justin Jefferson being Justin Jefferson guy. He didn't. But one of the reasons that I liked him as a player was, he plays in the slot, but look at his movement skills. Look at his route running. He can beat man coverage. He can win on these out-breaking routes. That was a big selling point for me. And quick slant routes. You look at the route chart for Emeka Egbuka, that's how he wins too. And it was very limited looks, but he had an incredible ability to beat press coverage on those limited looks. So, and again, it was a guy that was just a good first-round prospect. That's how people viewed Jefferson. Not like an elite tier, he's Malik Neighbors or anything like that, or he's Marvin Harrison Jr. And I look at Emeka Egbuka, that's how he was viewed. So while I know this rise is catching people off guard in the fantasy football universe because he wasn't projected this way, I really do think there's just so much to be excited about with his profile right now.